Hi everyone, I'm Shelly and you're watching There's No Place Like Home. I'm back with another video and today's topic is this: demons, ghosts, and fulfilled prophecy. As someone who in the past had what I believed at the time and may well have been some paranormal experiences, but also as someone who believes that all prophecy was fulfilled by AD 70, I over the past year and a half have been studying this, have had a difficult time reconciling. And I've been trying to understand this when it's something that honestly just isn't very clear. That was actually the one thing that kept me for a while from at least, going all in on fulfilled eschatology is this demon aspect, or this, the aspect of having some sort of experiences with entities that don't seem to be from our realm. And so understandably, I've had people asking me about this. How can you believe that everything was fulfilled when people are still having demonic, activity or paranormal activity? How do you explain that? First of all, what I really think I need to say is that most of what people call demonic activity is probably not demonic activity. It is probably something else. But even if there is only one real case, then there has to be an answer. Same thing holds true with the idea of ghosts and hauntings. I think that a lot of what people call paranormal activity likely has a more mundane explanation, but the same thing goes as with demons. If there is only one authentic case, then there has to be an explanation. Now, I attempted to give an explanation for this in one of my channel member videos, which is actually going to be coming out for, the rest of you in the end of October. So you will get to see that one eventually. And in that video, and let me pull it up right now. Okay, so this is actually what it's called. Question the narrative. I've been thinking about demons and the new earth. And in that video, I shared some of the ideas that I had, but my ideas have kind of shifted a bit. I'm not saying that the ideas that I shared in that video are completely off the table, but I have a working theory that I think is definitely more plausible. It definitely is more biblical. And I've had this idea for quite a while since I read something in Zechariah 13. However, I've been very unsure about it and didn't actually have the confidence to share it until I actually heard Zach Davis allude to something similar in one of his recent videos. And I thought, oh, okay, so maybe I'm not so crazy. So hear me out on this, and you can let me know in the comments what you think, because I am not saying that I am 100% correct on this. This is, I'm just trying to figure things out, and I am sharing it with you. But again, I think that this is very, very possible. I was reading Zechariah. It was actually a few months ago at this point. I haven't talked about it in that long. I just didn't know, until, like I said, once I heard Zach Davis mention something like that, I'm like, okay, maybe I'm onto something. But in Zechariah 13, we'll read verses 1 and 2. It says, "On that day, a fountain will be opened to the house of David and the people of Jerusalem to cleanse them from sin and impurity. And on that day, declares the Lord of hosts, I will erase the names of the idols from the land, and they will no longer be remembered. I will also remove the prophets and the spirit of impurity from the land." Now, as someone who is now understanding what is often meant by land, or sometimes is translated as earth, not specifically in this verse, but the word Eretz, I believe, in Hebrew, is translated as land here. And I believe that this was talking about the land of Israel in this particular prophecy. However, I believe that if you actually look forward to the antitype, because I believe this might be a type, I could be wrong, but if you look forward into the antitype and the New Testament and the prophecy of the things that are happening in the land, for example, in the book of Revelation, that covenant judgment on the land of Israel, okay, that judgment on Jerusalem, the land actually starts to be referring to the believers, specifically when it's talking about the New Jerusalem. So Zechariah 13:2 made me think of Revelation 22:14-15. Blessed are those who wash their robes, so that they may have the right to the tree of life, and that they may enter the city by the gates. Outside are the dogs and sorcerers, and the sexually immoral, and murderers, and idolaters, and everyone who loves and practices falsehood. So, now, first of all, contrary to what some people today believe, this is not talking about a place in the North Pole. That's not where the New Jerusalem is. This is actually referring to believers. Believers are the New Jerusalem. The New Jerusalem comes down as a bride adorned for her husband, who is the bride of Christ. The church is the bride of Christ. Okay. So when it is talking about blessed are those who wash their robes, we washed our robes in the blood of Christ, so that they may have the right to the tree of life. We have eternal life through Jesus, and that they may enter the city by the gates. When you become a believer, you enter the city. What city is that? It's the city of New Jerusalem. But outside are the dogs and sorcerers and the sexually immoral and murderers and idolaters and everyone who loves and practices falsehood. This isn't talking about a physical city and physical gates that has all of these ungodly people on the outside, and then everyone who has been cleansed of their sin through the blood of Christ on the inside. Yes, it's a great illustration for it, but what we are looking at here is verse 14 is referring to believers, verse 15 is referring to unbelievers. So we do have this city everywhere. And as I learned this from Bob Cruikshank when he gave a sermon at Berean Bible Church, he said, wherever believers are, that is sanctified ground, because that is where the New Jerusalem is. People who are not believers, so unbelievers, they are outside of the New Jerusalem. They are outside of the city. And just as in Zechariah 13, when it is talking about Jerusalem and saying that it will remove the prophets and the spirit of impurity from the land, it doesn't say from the whole world. It says that it's removing the spirit of impurity from the land. It's talking about that specific area, Jerusalem. And then if we look here in Revelation 22:14-15, it tells you the difference between what is in the city and what is outside the city. They exist simultaneously. They even exist in the same physical realm. However, the New Jerusalem is where people have eternal life. The New Jerusalem is where people's sin has been cleansed of them. Outside of the New Jerusalem, though, there's still sorcery. There's still sexually immoral. There's murderers. There's idolaters. So if we still have all of these things outside of the New Jerusalem, and if in Zechariah 13, the spirit of impurity was cleansed from Jerusalem itself, is it possible that those things, such as demons, such as what people might call ghosts or paranormal activity, still exist outside the gates? If sorcery can still exist outside the gates, I'm willing to bet that there may still be paranormal activity outside the gates. So, all of these illustrations that were given about what the new earth is going to look like, those illustrations are about those who are living in covenant with Christ. And it is from our land, from us, from the New Jerusalem, that those things were removed. So, is it possible that demons, that ghosts, can still exist amongst unbelievers because they are not inside the gates of the city? And I do have to add that when I had those paranormal experiences all those years ago, it was before I became a believer. So I know that's not the case with everyone. That is the case with me. But that's what I have for you today. Anyway, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed and would like to hear more of what I have to say, I would love if you would do that. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave one down below. And if you like my work and would like to become a channel member, I will leave a link in the description box for that as well, or you can just click on it right on my channel page. And I hope you have a great day.